Hi guys, welcome to English Lessons with Inlingua Vancouver. My name is Troy, nice to see you again. Today, I'm going to share with you one of my personal favorite grammar patterns. This is a really good one. And the pattern is, just because blah 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 doesn't mean blah blah blah. Why don't you try it? Just because blah 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 doesn't mean blah 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 blah. Try it. This pattern is really cool, it's useful, you can use it in many situations, but you need to practice it and you need to catch it, okay? So let me give you a basic example first. Now let's see, can you see? Look at this. See that? Okay, so I'm Canadian, right? And many Canadians do love hockey. It's kind of a hockey country. However, just because I'm Canadian doesn't mean I love hockey. In my case, yeah, I like hockey. Sometimes I watch it. I watch the Vancouver Canucks, but I didn't really grow up in a hockey family. It wasn't really what was happening. So in my case, no, it's not my favorite thing, even though I like it. So, just because I'm Canadian doesn't mean I love hockey. Try it. Awesome. So you can see that this is good for challenging stereotypes. You know stereotypes? All Canadians play hockey. All Japanese people practice karate. Things like that. Okay, so next I'm going to give you 5 examples and then you can make the just because doesn't mean. Okay, take a look. 5. So we'll go one by one. So the first one, check it out. Okay, I'll say it. The fact that he's Japanese means he practices karate. And then you say, well, not necessarily. Try it. Well, not necessarily. Look at this. Not necessarily. Like this. Not necessarily. Not exactly. Try it again. The fact that he is Japanese means he practices karate. Well, not necessarily. Okay, can you say it? Try it. I think you got it. Just because he's Japanese doesn't mean he practices karate. Of course, not everybody in Japan practices karate. You know, there's all different kinds of people in Japan. So maybe some people do for sure. Okay, number 2. Take a look at number 2. Okay. The fact that somebody studies grammar means they can speak. Try it. Not necessarily. Did you say it? This pattern is pretty easy, but it's very useful. Okay, let's try it together. Just because somebody studies grammar doesn't mean they can speak. Is it true? Do you think if somebody studies a lot of grammar for 1 year or 5 years, they can speak English or they have fluency? No, not really. And that's kind of a big problem. Unfortunately, sometimes schools or people don't focus enough on fluency in speaking and they just study some grammar books and more grammar books and a grammar test and a grammar rule. But where's the speaking? Only speaking is speaking, you know? If you want to ride a bike, you've got to ride a bike. If you want to play soccer, you've got to play soccer. And if you want to speak English, you need to be speaking. Grammar is okay, but it depends how you study. Like this is grammar. It's a little piece of grammar, but we're going to use it, you know? Okay. Number 3. Okay, ready? The fact that I got a bad score means I can't speak. I had a quiz last week, I got 60%. My English is terrible, I can't speak. Is that true? Not really. In fact, a lot of quizzes are like puzzles or sometimes like games, and some quizzes are good quality and some are not. Unfortunately, students put a lot of focus on quizzes, but that's not really the big picture. The big picture is your speaking. You know, when you go out with your friends, when you go to the pub, when you watch a movie and talk about the movie, how's your speaking? So just be careful, because some students they only focus on grammar rules and test scores and stuff, but at the end of the day, those things aren't the most important, right? So, just because I got a bad score doesn't mean I can't speak. Try it. Just because I got a bad score doesn't mean I can't speak. So this is thinking power. It's a great pattern. It gives you the ability to think and to analyze and to find the truth a little bit, you know? Okay, next one. 4. Okay, a little bit more sophisticated example. Read number 4. The fact that there are problems in the world means humans have no future. The fact that there are problems in the world means humans have no future. Is it true? There are a lot of problems in the world and problems seem to be increasing. Does that mean we have no future? Not necessarily. Can you say it? Try it. I'll say it, you say it. Just because there are problems in the world doesn't mean humans have no future, right? We can be a little more optimistic or look at the big picture. And number 5. The fact that a child is born in Canada means they can use nice patterns and idioms. The fact that a child is born in Canada means they can use nice patterns and idioms. That's an interesting question. Of course, if you're born in Canada, you're going to speak English. You grew up speaking English, not studying grammar. But, for example, my brother has some children, and they're totally speaking English, but they're not using key patterns or idioms. You know, those come with time. Those come with exposure. You know, you spend some time in education or reading, then you start to use these patterns and idioms. But actually, young Canadians are not using things like this, or other things like at the end of the day, or the bottom line is that. It's just an interesting point. So, everybody, just because a child is born in Canada doesn't mean they can use nice patterns and idioms. Try it. Just because a child is born in Canada doesn't mean they can use nice patterns and idioms. But eventually, they will be able to if they read a lot or go to school or university, right? All right, so there you can see how to use just because doesn't mean. And I recommend start today and find chances to use it, okay? And what's next? Let's see. I'm going to give you some practicing points. One point is called double negatives are sometimes important. Like sometimes in grammar books they say, oh, there's no double negatives, don't put the two negatives together. Yeah, sometimes that's true, but sometimes that's not true. Like especially in the case of just because doesn't mean. Very often, after the doesn't mean, there will be a negative. There will be a negative. For example, look at number 3. Negative, right? Just because I got a bad score doesn't mean I can't speak. Doesn't mean I can't speak. In my personal experience, that's very, very common. Not all the time, but a lot of the time you're going to have that kind of double negative situation. So don't be afraid to use that. Also, I'm going to give you these are some puzzles, 5 puzzles. 1 puzzle, 2 puzzle, 3 puzzle, 4 puzzle, 5 puzzle. You can put your answer in the comments below and I'll be happy to check them and respond. And you can tell me what you think. But in these puzzles, look, This one is positive, but this one, they will never happen again, is negative. Can't, negative. Wasn't, not. So we have, out of 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 5, we're using this double negative situation. Okay? So, double negatives can be used sometimes with just because doesn't mean. In addition, I always tell you the same thing. Say it, write it, and catch it. Say it, write it, and catch it. Look for chances, look for opportunities to say this. But of course, if you're looking for chances to say this, you need to be having conversations in English. So spend time speaking English, have a group of people, right? In addition, you can make thousands of examples of this. Like any area that you can imagine. It could be a super high level area, medium area, or simple situation. But really expand your mind and try to use it in many, many areas. And then it'll be ready for you to use. And it's going to give you some thinking power. It's very interesting. So say it, write it. You can make your own examples. Or, for example, if you have an opinion, you read something, you can write a response to that. So writing some examples is going to generate some creativity for you. So I recommend writing. And catch it. Just because doesn't mean. You're going to hear it a lot. It's a 5-star idiom or grammar pattern. It's everywhere. So you need to be watching TV, movies, sitcoms, reading newspapers. Just have that awareness, and you're going to start to see it everywhere. The more you see it, the more you understand it, the more you internalize it, and the more you internalize it, the more you're going to use it. All of the things that we're teaching you here, they need to be natural. You know, you need to have that ability so that you can use them when you need them. Okay? Because native speakers will just use this without thinking, spontaneously, and that's the idea. Same as the more, or in terms of, should be natural. Okay. As I said, you can make it in thousands of situations. And you need to be having conversations, or even talk to yourself. There's a great TED video, and there's a language expert, 5 tips for learning any language. The guy's awesome. And he says, why not talk to yourself? Then you can have 2 sides of the conversation. Really, both are good. You should have a group of friends, people you practice speaking with, develop your speaking a lot. But also, if you really want, you can just practice by yourself and think about examples and make a statement and then counter the statement, right? Let me see. Maybe I can make one spontaneously. The fact that that pizza has many toppings means it's good. No, just because the pizza has many toppings doesn't mean it's good. Too many toppings might be a little strange. And in Italy, sometimes they have very simple pizzas. That's just one example off the top of my head. Okay. And finally, I've made 5 puzzles for you. Puzzle number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These puzzles, they're pretty easy. You're just going to look at these 2 ideas, and you're going to apply the pattern to the ideas. And as I said, you can write your examples in the comments, and I'll be happy to look at them. And you can write your examples in the comments, but in addition, what does it mean? What am I saying? What does the example say, and what do you think about it? Do you agree? You know? So answer in the comments, and what does it mean? All right, so let's take a look. Number 1. Okay, ready? Humans might have a future. It's gonna be easy or pleasant. Again, humans might have a future. It's gonna be easy or pleasant. Make the sentence. Write it out. Think about it. Number 2. Major catastrophes haven't happened for many years. Major catastrophes, tsunamis, earthquakes, major catastrophes haven't happened for years. They'll never happen again. Put it together. Number 3, you didn't know about something. You didn't know about something. You can't learn about it now. Okay, make the sentence. And number 4, where's this one here? People don't know about something. It's not happening. People don't know about something. It's not happening. Make the sentence, make a comment. Number 5, look at this. This is a writer I discovered recently, like last month. He was kind of a historian, scientist. I think he was really brilliant, and he was friends with Einstein apparently. But when he wrote his books in the 50s, he was not really accepted because he was unorthodox. He was a different kind of thinker. He was challenging the dominant paradigms of the time. So if you like that kind of thing, history or the history of the earth, it's a good read. And also there's a lot of videos on YouTube about this guy. He's not alive anymore. He was writing in the 50s, but very well respected now. But at the time, not so much. Anyways, look at this. Immanuel Velikovsky, I think from Poland. Immanuel Velikovsky was dismissed by his peers. He wrote his book, and his academic peers were not very happy with that. He wasn't correct in his analysis of Earth's history. Immanuel Velikovsky was dismissed by his peers. He wasn't correct in his analysis of Earth's history. All right? So I think this is more fun for you, to give you a challenge, to give you something to do on your end, to practice this. It's a really great pattern, and it can totally help your thinking and speaking. It's just interesting. Sometimes grammar is more than grammar. It's like thinking or analysis. Okay? So there you go. These are some basic examples and the responses, and not necessarily. That's the pattern. Say it, write it, catch it. Many different situations. And these are some puzzles, and you can practice that. And I have one more thing. One of my favorite bands, actually my favorite band, as I said before, is Radiohead from England. And there's a Radiohead song from one of their albums that has this pattern in the song. So this is another fun piece of homework for you. I want you to go to YouTube, find the song. The song is called There, There. There, There by Radiohead. Okay, find the song, listen to it, and it's a fantastic song, by the way, great rock song. But where's the pattern? I challenge you to find it. Put that in the comments too. All right? And that's it, folks. I'm very happy to have shared this with you. It's really cool, and it's not necessarily common in a lot of grammar books. And all my ex-students, hello all my ex-students. For you guys, this is kind of review. They've learned this a lot of times here in inlingua Vancouver. But for my old students, you haven't seen these ones. So nice to touch base with you again, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. All right? So that's it for me, and thanks for watching English with inlingua Vancouver, and I'll see you next time.